Well, Parliament is back in session in Canada, and our country is obviously facing a lot of serious issues. So today we're going to talk about a number of different issues at the federal level. And joining me today is Sean Speer. He's an editor at large with The Hub, and Renaud Brossard. He is the Vice President of Communications with MEI. Thank you both for taking a few minutes to chat with me today. I want to just talk about the big picture in Ottawa. We've obviously seen Prime Minister Carney took over for Prime Minister Trudeau, and we've seen a lot of changes where the Prime Minister is reversing some of his predecessors' initiatives. We saw Prime Minister Carney reverse the carbon tax, the one that consumers pay, the capital gains tax hike, digital services tax, the electric vehicle mandate. We've seen a lot of pretty significant policies from the Trudeau that are being reversed. Sean, I'll start with you. I'm just curious, have you ever seen this in Canadian politics in the past, you say 30 years, where a politician from one party is taking over and reversing so much of what his predecessor has done?
It's not just one leader rather than another leader, of course. Most of the caucus is still the same people who were
Mm.
arguing for those policy mere months ago are now championing their reversals. It gives one a sense of whiplash. I would say, though, Craig, that one of the big questions looming over the fall parliamentary session is what kind of prime minister is Mark Carney? Is he more like the Justin Trudeau Liberal Party that we've seen for the past decade, or the Chrétien Liberals that we saw in the 1990s that, among other things, reduced spending, cut taxes, balanced the budget? At various points, Prime Minister Carney has nodded to the right on some of the issues you mentioned, but then there are others, including most recently the challenge to the notwithstanding cause, which is a kind of nod to the party's progressive left. At some point, he's going to have to pick a lane, and I anticipate that November's budget may indeed be that may indeed be that moment.
Renaud, I'm going to pose the same question to you. I mean, we've seen Ernie Eves took over from Progressive Conservative Premier in Ontario, Mike Harris. We've seen uh, uh, Kathleen Wynne took over from Dalton McGuinty. We've seen those types of transitions, but have you ever seen it where someone within the same party is reversed so much?
There's no time where so many reversals come to mind, but I want to be clear. A lot of these reversals, they're still works in progress, right? The carbon tax, right now, it's paused for consumers. It's still there for businesses. The law is still in the books, so we'll have to see what happens in the fall session if the carbon tax falls. Then, when we're talking about the capital gains tax, of course, let's forget this was never legislated by the previous government. So there's a series of different things that we see as maybe a reversal, but where it seems like it's a little bit more rhetoric than anything that's a true reversal. If we think, for instance, of the side of bureaucracy, there's been a lot of talk about how Mark Carney wants to spend less and invest more, whatever that means. But a lot of what we're seeing is some small cuts in in the bureaucracy where some contracts are not being renewed. We're seeing small things at the margin, but also at the same time, what we're seeing is a budget that, according to some estimates, could have a deficit north of $100 billion. This is not exactly a return to the Chrétien liberal era. It seems like it's a little bit of a, f- as, a way for Mark Carney to follow in Justin Trudeau's footsteps. Because Trudeau, if he was known for one thing, was having very, very, very large deficit for every single year that he's been in power.
Mhm. Let's talk about the deficit for a moment. Obviously, no one knows for sure unless you're on the inside of government. But Sean, what's your crystal ball telling you in terms of how big the federal deficit is going to be come November?
It's going to be big, as Renaud says. Some estimates put it north of $100 billion, and for those of us, Colin, who are discomforted by those trends, yes, of course, we need to call them out. But I would say to your listeners and viewers that it's just as important that we focus on the size of government. The cause of the deficit isn't just borrowing; it's overspending. And so I hope that the conservatives and others who are prosecuting the case against the current government's deficits and debt are actually focused on the root cause, which is a government that's too big, too expensive, doing too many things. That's ultimately the way to solve for deficits and debt.
Okay, listen, we're going to continue to unpack what's happening in Ottawa when we come back after this commercial break.